Good afternoon, everybody. You guys all excited to be here? Yeah, first day, right? That's the most energetic day, right? Yeah. So I'm Matt Laubach. I'm a dairy specialist with DuPont Pioneer, covering eastern South Dakota, southwest Minnesota, and northwest Iowa. It's my privilege today to introduce the VanEss dairy with the VanEss family, with Harvey and Lisa, Chad and Tyler, and also their nutritionist Dennis Stokes is here with us today. VanEss Dairy is located in Sanborn, Iowa, which is in the northwest corner of Iowa there, and they have approximately 3,700 cows on the facility. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to them, and they're going to go through a virtual tour of their operation. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I'm Harvey. This is Chad and Dennis Stokes with me here today, and I'm just going to walk through where we came from, how we got to Iowa. We are a dairy that relocated 2 times to our present facility, so I'm just going to start going through that. Started out in Washington State, town of Monroe. It's just a suburb a little bit northeast of Seattle, and milked about 375 cows there with my dad and my brother. I'm the youngest of 8 kids. Always been in the dairy business all our life, and in 1994 moved our dairy to Middleton, Idaho. Moved about 375 cows and about 400 heifers at that time. It was about a 500-mile move, and was there from '94 till 2008. Over the course of that period of time, we grew all the way up to about 2,000 cows actually, and in 2007 we broke ground in Sanborn, Iowa. My kids, I have 5 boys. They're all on the dairy with us, and at that time, they were getting out of school, wanted to come back to the dairy, and so we opted to build a new facility. And in 2008, I guess I'll just introduce our family before I go any further here in a minute. That's me on the end there. That's Tyler, Josh, Chad, Todd, his wife Steph, my daughter-in-law Patricia, and Jeremy, and their 2 boys, Cameron and Dylan, and then my wife Lisa on the end. I have 2 more grandsons that weren't available to be in the picture, Talon and Carter, Chad's little boys. So that's our family. That's our present, I'm going to go back to that a minute. That's our present facility right now, but getting back to our move here, we started milking in February of 2008. We moved 1,900 cows, about 1,900 heifers, and then purchased an additional about 800 or so out of Phoenix, Arizona. We did move all our cows. It was 1,440-mile haul. We just loaded them up and took off across country. And currently we have 3,700 cows on the facility. Our community involvement, we did do 2 dairy tours so far. For a lot of work, but they're a lot of fun. We have anywhere from approximately 1,200 to 1,400 people would attend those dairy tours. We supplied a meal, had some pretty in-depth tours, took them through the whole facility. Very involved in Western Iowa Dairy Alliance. My wife serves on the board, and very good organization just promoting our dairy industry. In 2008, we were awarded the Venture Award from the Iowa Area Development Group to our family. Our cows are housed in a cross-ventilated barn. All 3,700 cows are in one building. The building spans about 9.8 acres. On this side of the building, we have cool cells, evaporating cooling cells. We run water over to cool the air. On the north side of the building here in this picture you see right here, we have 120 52-inch exhaust fans which pull the air across the building. We can move air anywhere from 5 to 8 miles an hour across the building. We have baffles inside the building. I believe there's 9 of them in the building that force the air back down to the cows in the freestall barn. The parlor is located right here. We milk in a double 50 parallel parlor. We can milk up to, pretty easily 450 cows an hour in there with 6 milkers, 5 milking and 1 pusher. Our cows are broke up into 400 cow pens, so we can milk a pen in about 45 minutes. That's just a picture of the parlor there. It's a double 50. The lagoon holds 79 million gallons. We pump once a year, all injected. We do all drag hose injection. We just last fall built a heifer facility here in the bottom that will hold about 650 heifers. Currently, pretty much, we have about 1,500 heifers that we are in control of on our own facilities, and the rest are all housed off the farm and raised by custom growers. The heifer barn actually is a freestall barn. They come back at about 120 days and leave there at about 5.5 to 6 months old, and they are in freestalls that whole time in there. This is our corn silage. I'm actually going to turn it over here to Chad for a little bit and let him talk a little bit about that. He does all of our, a lot of the stuff with the forage harvesting and manages the feeder. So.
All right, everybody can hear me? Perfect. We got about 255 acres of our own farmable ground, so we have to contract anywhere from 2,300 from neighboring farmers. We work out a deal as far as purchasing the corn silage. They have a chance to go sell bushels at the elevator, and then we can buy those bushels and put them in their name for their date that they sold them, and then they can take the remainder as cash. So total acres we chop, this year I think we chopped about 2,500 acres. This time he'll take over.
This is our milking procedure. I'm just going to walk through a little bit. We do territorial milking. We dry wipe with a towel to get kind of all the debris off. Then we pre-dip and strip, and then re-wipe with an individual towel. And I think they do it in 9 cow groups, and then whatever the remainder is at the end for the right timing. We optimize nutrition we use 11 CFT from Pioneer, which we're very, very happy with. This is our 3rd year using it now, and it's worked very good. Bought our own forage harvester last year because we wanted to try to maintain more consistency in our harvesting. We still bring in somebody to help. We thought we could do it all this year by ourselves, but we brought somebody in about halfway through. It just got to be too much. So we milk 3 times a day. 3,700 cows, have a 3.9 fat, 307 protein, 180,000 somatic cell. Cows are housed in sand bedding. About 3,078 heifers. We are 100% artificial insemination. We haven't used a bull probably in about 15 years. We've been all AI. 36 employees, including our family. Hands-on training. We actually bring people in periodically and just do refresher courses on our milking procedures. At one time, we did do a video, our own video, and we used that, but it seems like you change things a lot along the way. You just find newer and better ways to do things, and so we don't really use that too much right anymore, but we did do that. Probably will do that again in the future. Like I said, 6 milkers per shift, territorial routine. We are pretty stringent about protocol. We don't want them straying off protocol, and we have a very, very low milker turnover. We don't really have much of an employee turnover. In fact, when we moved from Idaho to Iowa, we had 8 Hispanic families move with us, came with us, and some of them have been with us for as much as 15 to 16 years. So that's the milking parlor there. And I'm going to turn it over to Dennis at this point. Dennis is our nutritionist. We've been with Dennis for quite a few years. So,
how's everybody doing? Put that down just a little bit. Well, first of all, my name's Dennis Stokes, and I have problems with the microphone currently. How's that? Better? Okay. I own an independent consulting firm in Idaho, in the Treasure Valley of Idaho, that's around the Boise area. And it's called Snake River Enterprises. I've been there for going on 13 years now. As you can probably tell from a slight accent I have, I'm not originally from there. I'm from Florida originally, by way of Alabama. So at any point in this talk, when you can't understand what I'm saying, ask one of these guys and they will interpret.
We'll just do it in Dutch.
So, and I do apologize for the glare, so any of you guys with sunglasses, please feel free to put them on. Okay, so optimizing nutrition on VanEss Dairy. I'll just kind of go through a couple of the things that we like to do, and a couple of things that I think over the years has provided quite a bit of success for these guys. Obviously, we do like to have well-balanced diets for our cows, including quality ingredients. We sample feeds often, usually every 2 to 3 weeks. Send them off, and most all the wet feeds and the dry feeds as well. We have 2 lactating herd rations, fresh cow ration, and that goes through about 20 days in milk. It does depend on how crowded they get, and as you well know, the cows freshen in bunches, and so it depends. That can vary anywhere from 15 days in milk on up to 25, depending on how crowded it gets. And we do like to maintain about 80% occupancy to our lockups in that pen. Then we have a lactating cow ration that's fed all the way until dry. We do not believe in pen moves at VanEss Dairy. So that's one of the keys to our success, we believe, in this current facility is minimizing the pen moves. Quality forage program. We do believe in quality forage. Harvey mentioned one of the tools that we have utilized in the last few years, and that'd be the Pioneer 11 CFT inoculant. And Chad mentioned about the corn silage harvest, and we'll get to that a little bit later, but he does a really good job, and the rest of the guys on the farm do a really good job putting up corn silage every year, and they just finished, what, couple weeks ago? So how many tons did you put up?
45,000.
45,000 tons in 2 pits, one humongous pit and the other is a little smaller pit. So, and then my last slide I'll talk about is staying on top of it. How do we stay on top of our nutrition management, and how do we stay on top of optimizing our nutrition management at VanEss Dairy? Okay, so the well-balanced diet, and this is probably not news to any of you, but just our goal is to meet nutritional needs of the cow and maximize profitability while providing the highest quality product, and the highest quality end product being the highest quality milk we can produce while keeping the cows healthy. We do feed total mixed rations, and Chad will talk about how they go about doing that here in just a little bit. Maximize forage and digestible fiber to keep the cows healthy. We do provide greater than 55% forage at all times in our milking TMR. So that includes corn silage treated with the Pioneer 11 CFT, alfalfa hay. We do try to find, even in Iowa, we try to find high quality alfalfa hay to feed our cows. I'm from Idaho, as I mentioned before, and it's a little different. So anyway, and we provide a high quality straw, if there is such a thing, that the cows can't sort. And then non-forage fiber sources to kind of complete the forage and digestible fiber realm there. We balance for essential amino acids, both lysine and methionine, for optimal protein efficiency and microbial output. We use important to the dairies, important to the industry, obviously, well-researched additives. And these are just some of them. We use some other ones, but we do get behind products that have been proven to work in the scientific community. Use a combination of ingredients containing high levels of sugars, starches, fats, and soluble fiber to provide our energy. So, At this point, I'm going to introduce Chad to you. He is one of the two feeders at the dairy, and Chad's going to talk to you a little bit about how they go about feeding the cows, and turn it over to you, Chad.
All right. We run 2 mixer wagons. They're almost identical, 1,100 cubic foot twin screw vertical mixer wagons. We got 2 feeders, myself and a Hispanic guy, and he's been with us since, I believe, 2005. So, in my opinion, having the same guy around for so long really helps with us. One, he understands what we're looking for, and it's another easy way to keep everything consistent. Our pens are 400 cows on average, 430 cows when they're full, so we're unable to feed that many cows with 1 load of feed. So you could say we feed 2 times a day, but really we feed a full load and then we come back right away with another load. So, you know, we're dropping feed twice, but really it isn't 2 times a day feeding. We run Valley Egg software, Feed Watch, on both mixer wagons. We're able to control, you can see the air rate, his mix time, so we know if he's messing around or if he's wasting, or you can control inventories, so you know what's coming and going on the farm. One thing we noticed is if we change our mixing orders as far as how we load our ingredients, it really changes our components. Whereas we used to always feed hay, then put our grains in and go put silage in, where now we're putting our grains in before our hay, just so we're not over-processing the hay. Every day we're making adjustments as far as how much we're feeding the cows. We really only want to see on a 400 cow pen, 350, 400 pounds of feed left each day. And we push that out every other day, and we'll haul that down the road to the heifers. And like I said, consistency is key, trying to keep everything the same every day. We want to start at 5 o'clock. We want them to feed the same pens in the same order every day. Putting up, we feed, right now, what are we feeding, Dennis? 65, 70 pounds corn silage?
Yeah, about 70.
So putting up the best corn silage we can is key for us. Chop length, getting it processed the way we want it. We're chopping it about 1 inch length, which makes it very challenging to get it processed, but every year we seem to be able to do a little better job. And we actually did try some shredlage this year. We had another chopper come in, and that seemed to be really, I guess, if we could do more, we'd do more.
How many of you guys are familiar with shredlage or have tried it? Okay.
Basically what shredlage is what we were seeing is with the conventional processor, we were cutting right at 1 inch, 1.1 inch. If we had the processor set at 2 millimeters, it was doing pretty decent job processing. With the shredlage, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, and there was no kernels to be found in it. It looks more like, instead of a square piece of silage, it looks more like a string.
Yeah, it's a really interesting product, and I saw it for the first time this year as well on one of my clients in Idaho, and they dumped the first pile on the pavement there, and before they were going to pack it, and this was just the trial, just to see what it would come in like. I was fortunate enough to be there, and there were 3-inch particles, and there weren't 3-inch and 1 inch and half-inch and all. It seemed like all 3-inch particles, and it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. There was not a kernel to be found, which, as a dairy nutritionist, that's very important to me. And obviously, we had to go and adjust some things, but it was really, really amazing. So I'm keeping an eye on this shredlage thing.
And even with the longer cut with the shredlage, it still seems to be able to be packed in the pile well, so that didn't seem to be an issue this year. In our corn silage, we try to cut it, we're shooting for 68%. Obviously, we don't get all 2,500 acres at 68%. If we can get started at 69, 70% and finish it, if we're 64, 65, that's acceptable.
Yeah, and we seem to be getting really good starch numbers.
Well, like I said, every year we seem like our piles processed a little bit better than the year before.
Yeah, that's what we try to do. We try to improve just a little bit every year.
So yeah, in 2011 we bought our own machine. That's ours there. We treat everything with 11 CFT. We use and basically we were able to cut out some grain and some soy and feed more silage, and our milk held, our components were good. So getting higher quality is definitely key for us.
Yeah, and I've got one point up there that I've always talked to these guys, my clients, about, that we're always walking a tightrope or walking at times I've used plank, but I don't think that's good to say. But now I came up with, we're walking on a wider bridge across the canyon, okay? Something that, we don't have to feel nervous about. We've kind of built ourselves some insurance, and that's one thing that the Pioneer 11 CFT has been able to do for us, as well as we mentioned the shredlage technology. That's going to be another step to help widen that bridge for us, and help these cows do better overall health-wise. So.
And as far as Pioneer goes, that's Matt standing there and making sure we get excellent support from them. If we want them out there when we start chopping, they're there. If we want them a couple weeks before, they're there. So as a company, they've done pretty well for us. Like Dennis said, we did one large pile and one smaller pile. There's about 37,000 ton in this pile right here. And then out back, we put just the remainder of whatever didn't fit. When you got big machines coming in, it takes big tractors, heavy tractors. That red one there on the bottom of this second picture actually weighs about 50,000 pounds when it comes across the scale. And all the other tractors have wheel weights, and we run water in all the tires. We use kind of not just your regular egg bag plastic. We get a heavier duty oxygen barrier plastic, which really helps as far as spoilage goes on the top. We can go, for a long time with hardly pitching any spoilage. Obviously, as we get further towards the back, as we're cutting the tarp back, a little bit of air will get under it, and you'll get a little bit on the back of the pile. But as far as spoilage goes on the corn pile, really not that much.
Yeah, and with spoilage that he's talking about, we don't like to have our guys, up there on these humongous piles. I mean, it's dangerous. So, we've got some technology like the oxygen barrier plastic. We're doing a better job every year packing. There's new things that are coming out helping us do a better job all the time. And, one day, hopefully, because I don't like to feed spoilage, the cows don't like to eat spoilage, one day we can eliminate it completely, and we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to have our guys up there, pitching silage on a 30-foot face.
I'll take this.
Yeah. Okay, so the last thing we'll kind of touch on here from the nutrition standpoint is how do we stay on top of it at VanEss Dairy. We do have a team approach. We take a team approach with the dairy and the trusted advisors. We use myself. I come from Idaho every 6 to 8 weeks. It's not very often for a consultant, but I've worked with these guys for going on 11, 12 years now. And we kind of know what each we know what each party is thinking. Jeremy, unfortunately, he's not here today, but Jeremy, kind of the main manager on the dairy, and he and I talk on a weekly basis and just go over things. And one of the things that we go over are our key performance indicators, and basically this. Just some obvious things, some weekly production stats. What's the butter fat doing? What's the protein doing? What's the milk production doing? We talk about dry matter intakes in our very important pens, such as our transition pens. Metabolic event summary. We'll kind of go over what's happened with the fresh cows that week. What are they seeing? There's one thing at VanEss Dairy. Every morning, it's all hands on deck. Other than the feeder, it's all hands on deck in that fresh pen, and they are going through each and every cow. And how many guys typically do you have?
Oh, there can be 7 or 8 guys in there, no problem. And we temp every cow for those first 15 days and record their temps. We palpate them every other day, check their uteruses, and we grade them as we do it to make sure that they're not getting any worse and watch them that way. But yeah, we're all in there. And then we will go through with a stethoscope after we get done doing all the temps, and we just, any cow that just looks not quite right, we'll check them, make sure they're ruminating or stuff. We're pretty intense in the fresh cow.
Very intense, because as you well know, and I see a lot of dairymen here, that's where it starts. That's where this lactation starts. And so if we can do a better job with her, first from my point, it's prevention. I want to try to prevent any problems that are going to happen. But we know this is the real world, and we know that some things are going to happen. You're going to have twins. You're going to have some dystocia, that sort of thing. So we want to try to catch those cows, be proactive with it, and that's one thing that the VanEsses have always done. They've always been ahead of the curve on these fresh cows and on a lot of other things. So back to this, we do monitor the metabolic events every week. We do cud chewing. I was there just Wednesday, or when was it? A couple days ago. Time's flying, but
Yesterday.
yeah, it was yesterday. Wow. Now I'm in Wisconsin. Anyway, we monitor cud chewing. I was there and did that, and that gives us an indication on what the cows are telling us, and manure scores as well. And so Jeremy will report all of this to me on a weekly basis, kind of giving me a picture of what's going on in the dairy. He'll also send me pictures from his phone. Hey, this is what I'm seeing, and we'll talk about it, that sort of thing. Consistent TMR, the boring life concept. This is what these cows like. They love a boring life. Same way, same time, same thing, every single day. And I kind of wish more people were like that, but the cows definitely like it, and they do well with the boring life concept. To ensure a consistent TMR, or to check on it, we do operate with the Penn State particle separator. We do that mostly on a weekly basis. TMR and wet forage dry matters are taken 3 times a week. And then we also use feed watches, as Chad mentioned earlier, to monitor feeder accuracy. We have gotten to where over the last couple of years we've used the Diamond V DV monitors, which is a monitoring system that basically weekly it downloads their information from the creamery. And so we can get component data, somatic cell data, energy-corrected milk, and then also some SPC, or statistical processing control data as well. And then along with that, we've done periodic TMR audits with Diamond V. I think they've kind of coined that phrase, but it's kind of an unbiased review of consistency of the TMR mixers and the job that the feeders are doing. So that's been something that we've utilized as a tool.
To add to that, one thing that Jeremy does do too is he does a daily log, and in that log he logs any events that happened that day. Weather, was it hot? Was there a storm? Changed hay? Anything that, the feed wagon broke down, whatever it is, daily milks. It was kind of interesting. We were checking our silage temps when we were getting out of the pile, and we were asking, I think it was Matt that was there that day, what should the temperature be? And he shot out a number. I believe it was 15 degrees lower than the embryonic temperature when it was put in. He said, boy, it sure be nice to know that. And Jeremy said, just a minute. And he just hit a button on the computer, brought up his diary. He said this was what the temperature was. And he pretty much, so we, because you might see a dip in milk or something, but not everything's always ration related or whatever. There could have been other events that happened on that dairy that day that could, so that way you can really monitor it. And just to add a little bit to that, when we were talking about pen moves, we do not move cows when they leave that fresh pen. We have a 2-year-old pen, we have a 3-year-old pen, and then we have older cows. And when they leave the fresh pen, they go to their pen, and they'll stay there till they either go dry, die, or get beefed. They do not leave that pen. We do not move cows, because we breed in all the pens. We're in every pen every day. So we go through it.
All right.
Our goals for the future, we would really like to raise all our own young stock, be in charge of all our heifers. Like I said earlier, we built that heifer barn to try to take care of the transition part. We felt like we had a really good calf raiser. We run about a 1.2, I believe, 3 death loss right in there. I had to look at my wife and see if she's shaking her head. Yeah, that's what it is, get those numbers right. And but we were having troubles in the transition part, and so that's why we built that heifer barn, and that's just been really good. We did rent a feedlot that holds about 1,000 head, and so we're in charge of about 1,500 of them right now, 1,600 of them. So it's a start, but it's not where we want to be. We'd like to be in charge, take care of them all the way through. Preparing our business for the next generation. I think, well, you all know what the corn price is. You all know what the hay price is. One of my hay guys is sitting right here. And I think for us, we'd like to be able to get more land, but in northwest Iowa, you've probably heard some of the land prices. They just sold 80 acres just right next to us last fall for $12,000 an acre. So it's kind of a tough deal right now, but it would be really nice to be in control, a little bit more control of more of your own forages, more the silage side of things. And just to continue to produce a wholesome quality products. You see that's Jeremy there with his little boy, trying to build a business that can be passed on to the next generation. So with that, does anybody have any questions? Okay.
Why did you jump from Washington to Iowa to Iowa?
The question is, why did we jump from Washington to Iowa to Iowa? Okay, got it wrong. Washington, Idaho, Iowa. Lisa and I when we were in Washington, my parents were on an older dairy, and Lisa and I had started a smaller dairy on a rented facility. And we were also in the floodplain. And in 1990, we had a really big flood. My cows were all standing out on a bridge while water was flying through my freestall barn. And I just decided I wasn't going to do that anymore. And the lease was up, and we just started looking all over the place. We were young, and my dad wanted to retire, and so it was at that point we decided to go to Idaho. That was a very good move. It really was. We did very well there. And then the Idaho thing, or the Iowa thing, excuse me, the housing boom was Treasure Valley is the Boise area. We were in the Boise area. Treasure Valley was the number 2 growing spot in the nation behind Las Vegas, Nevada. I mean, it was booming. If you wanted concrete, you had to order it 60 days in advance just to get concrete. It was really booming. Houses were kind of coming our way, so we had an opportunity to sell, and it was a really good price, and it was one of those deals where I kind of told my kids, because they wanted to come back to the farm. I'm 45 years old at that point when we were talking about it. I said, I will go anywhere at this point. I'm not afraid to move again. And if you guys want a dairy with a dry lot dairy, you're going to have to pick your spot. But if you want to do freestalls, you can go wherever you want to go. And it was at that point we just started looking around different parts of the country. I mean, we didn't just go straight to Iowa. We looked in South Dakota, Texas, New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Iowa. And I believe that the future in the dairy industry is going to be how close you are to your feed and your proximity to your milk processing plant. We all know diesel's hitting $4 again, and I don't believe you're going to be able to haul this stuff all over the country anymore. It's just going to get too expensive. And we ship 6 loads of milk a day, so that was kind of the thing. But really, to be really honest with you, I'm a Christian, and a lot of prayer went into this. And quite honestly, in all those other places, it seemed like the door always got slammed shut, and the doors just opened up here. So I believe this is where God led us to. And having said that, it has been a good move. I'm not going to say it was easy, because by the time we got the dairy built, the economy crashed, the developer backed out, and was stuck with everything in Idaho, and it really changed the dynamics greatly, let me tell you. But we seem to be hanging in there through it all. So, any other questions?
One question for the nutritionist.
Oh boy. Be easy on me.
Have we in southeastern South Dakota, where you head up there on the picture up there, of high quality dry western hay? And I know that you've seen our hay. Do we qualify for that yet?
Yes, sir, you do. Yes, sir.
Getting better all the time, Gary. Yes, sir. I'll do in the back here. Question was, we talked about spoilage on our silage. How much do we have and what do we do with it? We pitch it. And it'll vary from nothing, to be quite honest with you. We use a 7 mil plastic. That pile there has 2 tarps on it. Each tarp weighs 3,000 pounds. It's the biggest tarp we can get manufactured. We only have 1 seam in the whole tarp. And it's tire to tire. And there, like last year, we went a long time where we had no spoilage whatsoever. A little bit on the edges, you know, not much. But we pitch it. But it'll vary from that much to maybe that much. And so the problem we have with the big pile like that, I don't know if I'd build that like that again. I would build it where I could make maybe 3 smaller piles. And the reason for that is it takes us 10 to 12 days to put that silage up. The back of that pile can't really be covered till you're done because you're always covering it. And so when we get towards the back, that's when we'll see the spoilage. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Are you loading your own trailers?
The question was, are we tanker loading milk? Yes, we are tanker loading milk. We tanker load all our milk. No milk tanks. Yes, sir.
I noticed you said 395 butter fat. Do you do crossbreeding or do you, how's that work? Feeding?
100% Holsteins. And that was, the question, excuse me, was 39% butter fat, or do we have crossbreeds or what do we have? It's all Holstein cows. That number was actually right off Jeremy's graph the day we left. That was an 88.5 pound average with a 39 with those numbers. And I credit a lot of that to the longer length of chop and the 11 CFT. I can tell you we've been as high as 100 pounds in Idaho. It was a little different there. We bought a lot of animals here, like span and stuff. So, but I credit a lot of that to the length of chop and the digestibility that 11 CFT has given us. Since we started using the 11 CFT and really concentrating more on the length of chop and the processing, we have gradually raised the bar on that, and it's been really good. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Your nutritionist said something about cows chewing cud. What percentage should you see chewing?
Okay, the question was that I said something about cows chewing cuds. What percentage of cows should you see chewing the cud? I like to look 3 to 4 hours after they come out of the parlor, and most of the cows primarily will be lying down, and so I like to shoot for 60% or better of my cows chewing their cuds. When I did it just the other day, I had an average of about 63%, and that was 200 cows that I counted. So,
any other questions? Yes, sir.
What's the dry cow diet?
The question is what's the dry cow diet?
okay, we've got a far-off dry cow diet, and then we have a close-up dry cow diet, and so about 21 to 25 days prior to calving, those cows will move into the close-up pen. The dry cow diet consists of straw. I don't think we have corn stalks in there anymore, but straw, corn silage, a little bit of alfalfa hay, and then we have a couple other things. Obviously some vitamins and minerals and that sort of thing in there. We've got a little bit of soybean meal in there.
Some syrup.
And yeah, a little bit of, we've got a molasses type syrup that we put on, and then
Is it decaf or no?
a decad.
Ionic salt, so
Yes, when we get to the close-up pen, that 21 to 25 days pre-calving, they do go to a decad balanced diet. Yes.
Any other questions?
how's the reproduction in the farm efficiency?
How's the reproduction in the question is how's the reproduction in the farm? I can tell you we went through a really hot summer, not this summer, well this summer was pretty hot, but it wasn't as bad as the summer before, and we took a pretty good hit on it. It has come back. Our milk production held really well, but our reproduction we struggled with. I don't even know what we're about 20% preg rate, I believe, or something like that. So it's not where we want it. We have really, we work with a consultant too, and with our veterinarians and dentists and all of us, our last couple meetings have pretty much been 100% focused on reproduction. We really want to get that number up. With our level of milk, we're not 100. I mean, super concerned. Well, I mean, it's a concern because you obviously you got to have fresh cows to have milk.
Yeah, so we're always trying to raise the bar at VanEss Dairy, so there's always something to work on.
We've been high. The thing is, we've been higher than that, so we know we can do better. So that 2 summers ago, it hit us pretty good. We did do some changes in the barn since that time also, though. We have the cooling pads, and we have real hard water, and to be honest with you, I don't think we managed them quite right. They didn't tell us that you got to dump that water every day because your minerals stay behind, your calcium deposits, and those things were just plugged. And we actually replaced them all this spring, and I think that helped us a lot this year because this year was a little better than last year. There was a question over here a minute.
How far do you have to move your milk to market?
How far do we have to move our milk to market? 4.5 miles. Real close.
They don't take much diesel, that is.
No, I don't take much diesel. Rod.
On the cool cells, average temperature reduction this summer, how did that affect?
The question is on the cool cells, what was the average temperature reduction? Probably, I would say anywhere from 10 to 18 degrees, depending on the humidity.
You shoot for what temp? What do you
Oh, what is the
They
temp?
turn on at like 70.
I think they turn on at about 70. If the question is at what temp are we shooting for, I think that it's all set. There's thermometers throughout the building. I think 68, is that what it is, Tyler? They turn on at about 68, and so we.
How big a building would it take to cover 9.2 acres?
9.8. How big of a building does it take to cover 9.8 acres? That's 1,000 by 439. 1,000 feet long by 439 feet wide. Yes, sir.
Your calves, when your custom raisers come and pick them up, are they coming at 2 or 3 days, 5 days, or are they coming big wet calves?
Question is, our baby calves, how old are they when they come and pick them up? They come every other day to pick them up. So anything that's born in over that period of time, whether it's just born or whatever, they go. In wintertime, we put calf blankets on them. They leave with a calf blanket on it. They go to the calf raiser. When he comes back, he brings back the blankets. We throw them in the wash machine. So they do have a blanket on them at birth till they leave in the winter. We did do a calf warming. We built a calf warming thing in there. That didn't really pan out too well because it warms them up, and then they kind of go out into the cold, and it didn't do as well. So we don't even use that anymore. We just use the calf blankets, and if we have one that's struggling a little bit, we'll use a heat lamp or something. And a lot of straw. Keep them bedded belly deep in the straw. Anything else? Yes.
The percent of the production in the farm.
What's that?
The production, the percent of the production.
Pollution?
How many people
Oh, how many? Oh, okay. The question is how many people we use for reproduction. We have 2 people that pretty much do all the breeding, but there's 1, 2, 3. There's about 4 or 5 of us that can help out and breed. So, but primarily 2 people do all the breeding. Like off-sync day is every Monday, and actually here's one of our breeders right here. And we asked him on the way down here how many cows did you have to breed. They bred 120 cows that day between the 2 of them. Well, not a day. That's on off-sync day. So that's every Monday there'll be about that many to breed. And then other than how many do you breed on an average day?
25.
So I breed about 25 a day on the other days, on the off days. Any other questions? Yes.
Do you process the hay before it goes in, or is it put in as flat hay?
Question is, do we process the hay before we put it in? No, we do not. It just goes in. It's a vertical mixer. It does a good job of mixing up. We're really happy with these mixers, these NDE mixers. They seem to be very consistent. We've experienced with other brands too, but these NDEs have been very, very consistent mixing and very trouble-free too. Actually, they've been pretty good box for us. Yes.
What's your call rate? Where do your cows go to sale or straight to slaughterhouse?
Question is, what's our call rate and where our cows go? Do they go to the slaughterhouse or to the sale? Both. We got a guy that comes in about once a week or so, and he takes them straight to a slaughterhouse, and you know, he can get about 18 on a load. Sometimes he comes with more than one trailer, or otherwise some go straight to the sale barn also. But our call rate's probably 30, 31, 32. I had to look at my wife for that one. Oh. So yeah, right in there.
What's the age of your cow?
Okay, what's that?
The age of your dairy animal.
What's the age of our dairy animals? Boy, without having that right in front of me, I probably couldn't really tell you. We do have a lot of older cows.
We do. Okay, well, that's
One thing we did, you know, our cull rate used to be lower, and one thing we did when we built the dairy is I didn't really fill it up with a lot of springing heifers. I bought a lot. I wanted to fill it fast, and we had a good milk price in 2008. And I'm glad I did do it that way. We went in, my wife and I went to Phoenix, Arizona on I remember what day it was, and we preg checked 1,200 cows, picked 800 or so out of that. She flew home, I loaded them all on trucks in one day, and they headed to Iowa. I mean, we filled it as fast as we could. We just didn't want to do it we did do it with quite a few heifers too, but so what that does, you know, that's all fine and dandy. You fill it fast, but now you're down the road 4 years, and you got a lot of old cows, you know, but I still would probably do it that way.
some old cows stay around though, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Main reason for culling, I would say it's reproduction, and which equates to production. You know, we've kind of changed our protocols a little bit. We used to just breed and breed and breed. I mean, we had cows in there we bred 15, 16 times, you know, get them pregnant, you know, and with the use of BST, we were able to pretty much keep those cows around, but we're being way more selective. We got a lot more DMBs now than we used to do, and we just milk them off. And so you know, I would say our main reason is reproduction, which equates to production. You got one back.
Service hire, what's your requirement for usable?
You know, that question is, what's our criteria for service hires? I'm kind of out of that loop. I don't pick the bulls anymore. My son does. So Lisa, do you have to do that? Honestly, I don't do it. I haven't done it for about 2 years. And so I can't really answer that question. I would just be shooting in the dark. I know that we are focusing a little more on components than we used to. We used to pretty much just push a lot of milk out of our cows. You know, when we were in Idaho, we had 2 dairies there, and I had 900 on one and about 1,100 on the other one. And the home dairy was a 3-time-a-day dairy, and the other one we actually milked those cows 4X all the way through, and we did that for about 3, maybe 4 years. And they were separate herds of cows, and that 4X herd was always 100 plus pounds of milk, and the other one was always in the 90s when they were fed the same ration. Can't remember where I was going with this, but sorry about that. But we pushed a lot of milk, and basically we were more after the pounds of protein. You know, you can have a 3-5%, but if you got a lot of milk, you're shipping a lot of pounds of milk, you know. So, but it's nice to see those 3.9s and 3.01s though, and still get a lot of milk, fair amount of milk.